Alright guys, set up here in front of the computer today. Going to do something a little bit different. So as I'm talking about coming into this off season, definitely want to make some big improvements and get better for 22. So one of the big benefits of having Michaela coming around to the tracks is she films every time and I'm able to go back through and look at that. This is honestly probably the first time I really started to think about really taking advantage of that and breaking down technique and that sort of thing, looking at the stuff that I need to work on coming into next year. So just going to do some of that now. I've got a whole bunch of different clips and stuff that I've pulled from throughout the year, and then even some stuff now on the Honda. And just going to go through, break down that technique, things I'm looking for, things I'm going to try to get better for next year. Okay, so first clip is from PBI Ride Farm down in Victoria. It's the week before first round of Nationals, where I should have been feeling pretty good. I was feeling good up until that day. And PBI was super technical that day, so it was raining in the morning and then got some pretty deep ruts and it was like slick in spots, but then also heaps of traction when you're actually in the ruts. Like the softer dirt would suck you in, then you'd sort of slide on top. So it really showed up a few technique things that I need to work on. So like just going through the clip, just like approach to the corner and everything looked okay. Sat on the rear brake a little bit and just didn't place my front wheel where I wanted it to. So all these little things make such a difference. I feel like back at the entry of the corner here, I can see I'm still on the rear brake. I'm sort of in a mid-stage position on the bike with my body position. Whereas I feel like from this point where I am right here, I should be on the seat. And then when you're on the seat around a right-hand turn, automatically leg comes out, you're off the rear brake and you're just rolling from that point. And then I'm able to place my front tire exactly where I want it because my suspension and everything is settled before I get to this end point where the bit of a hook or the rut starts. So right there when I hit the hook and the rut is right as I'm sitting, so everything's off balance. As you can see, my body's leaning out. And then when I hit it, my front wheel just climbs up the top of the rut there. As soon as I do that, I can't accelerate hard here to get out of the corner and into the next section, because if I do, I'm just going to climb over the rut and end up on the outside of the track. So I've sort of just got to baby it a little bit, like just cruise, and then I can attack here once I'm a bit straighter. But already I've lost a second or more in that one turn just there. So it's like something I can take away from that is just knowing that is a habit I've got. I try to run in deep into the turns, which isn't bad to stand deep into the turns, but it is when you're still braking and you're still trying to slow yourself down and everything midway into the turn, because your body's not set up in the right spot. You're not following the rut the way you need to because your body and everything is moving midway through the turn, when all you should be worried about is following the turn out of the corner and then trying to get to the next corner as fast as you can. So again, takeaway from this is I want to just do a bunch of work in off season to set myself up early in the turns, and it should eliminate a lot of the issues that I'm having in a turn like this. Okay, so the first video at PBI was super obvious where that standing in deep and transition didn't work. It was obviously slower. I got off balance, my front wheel climbed up out of the rut. So I wanted to break down this clip at Kingaroy where actually I do make it work. It's not quite so obvious. I am up on the pegs until the apex and then I transition to the seat, but it's not as obvious. I still look like I'm going pretty fast. So to go through the clip, full speed, just rolling in there, on the seat, transition, power out of the turn. I got that corner pretty good really. All right, so I flowed through there pretty well. I'm happy with my technique and everything. As you can see, on the balls of my feet, leaning with the bike. My wheel placement is really good. My tire is exactly where I want it in the rut. Transition into the seat, flow through there, legs up nice and tall out of the way. Fairly happy with all that. There's a couple minor things I could pick on, but for the most part, rolled through there quick. But to really break it down, where I think it would be faster still to not be on the pegs and to transition in the seat, it's like, okay, so again, there's not a single bump. Look at like the suspension, there's no bumps coming in here. I don't need to be on the pegs. 9 times out of 10, you'll corner faster on the seat, okay, unless maybe you're Stefan Everts. So in this example, when I've got no bumps, there's no need for me to be up on my pegs. The only reason I can really think of is I personally feel comfortable like that. feel like I got control over the bike, and could nearly guarantee it. I can't see it because we're on the opposite side, but I would be on my rear brake here. So for one, that's slowing us down, slowing me down into the turn. And then again, there's no hook or anything like that. But if there was, I could stamp on that rear brake, slow me down even more. As well, in that transition, this part right here, you can see I get that little bit of body movement because I'm not quite set up. Everything's happening super late. Whereas right here, if I get onto my seat, I can set myself up early, all the way from back there. As soon as the support goes, just roll around the turn. So simple. And I'm already in that nice strong position before I get to that last little hook, and it's not going to bother me as much. So it's just an example where being on the pegs, it looked just as fast, but it's like when I'm looking for that tiny little bit of an advantage, I can nearly guarantee I would be faster if I just sat down early off the rear brake and just rolled through that turn. It's figuring out where to use that stand-up technique. Say it was super rough coming in, and it's like there's a big hook midway through the turn, stand up through the hook, then sit. But I've just got to realize that just because I can stand deep in the turns and I'm pretty good at it, it doesn't always mean it's going to be the fastest way around the corner. Okay, so for an example of where I've done it the way that I'm speaking about, and I do set up early and I do roll through the turn well, I've got the second clip is from Kingaroy at a practice day. So as you can see with the approach here, again, standing in that nice neutral position, but then as soon as the rut starts, or as soon as there's a bit of support there, I'm already on the seat, starting to prepare, get ready for the turn, leaning with the bike, rolling through, just smooth, consistent throttle control, rolling through, little bit of a hook, and then accelerate out of the corner into the next one. Pretty well. That's, if I could hit every corner like that, I'd be doing pretty well. That's pretty spot on. So where I think the issues and stuff come into it is like there is slight little technique issues in this video still, but it's not exaggerated because the rut's so perfect. So in a rut like say PBI or at the Nationals and stuff where there's bumps and holes and stuff like that, that's where the top guys are able to maintain that nice strong body position, head up over the front, strong core and everything, and even though the bike's reacting around underneath them, they still control through the rut. So as you see here, even when I do transition into the seat, if you watch my body position on the entry here, bum's behind my head, nice and strong, and then as I'm transitioning, my head actually comes back away from the front tire. Straight away there, I lose control over the front end a little bit. Okay, which here it's nice and smooth, there's no bumps, it doesn't matter, but where there are bumps, that's where you can get a little bit upset, and your front tire is not going to be right in that sweet spot of the rut where you want it to be. And then here I'm settled in, again, no bumps, nice and smooth, so I start transitioning my weight a little bit more forward. So at this point, I'm pretty pumped on that. Legs up nice and tall, out of the way, outside foot on my toes on the foot pegs. Elbows are nice and strong, heads up towards the crossbar here. And then I go to this point here, I allow my head to come back again. All right, so again, taking weight off that front end. I'm not able to position that front tire exactly where I want it the whole way through. I hit that little bit of a bump, and as you can see, my body weight does shift to the outside of the bike. So then when I get to the exit, I do drop it back in, and it's not too bad, I can power out of it. But again, there's one bump in that rut. Whereas typically you'd have a whole bunch of bumps coming into the turn, you get into it, it might have a hook, then a couple bumps, and then another hook or something like that on like an actual race day. And that's sort of the difference I think between myself and the top guys, is they're able to maintain that strong position and that perfect riding position the whole way through, even with those bumps and stuff. The reason I do it and bring my head back, I think it's because of a confidence thing. I feel like my front's gonna tuck or something like that. But that's why I want to put a heap of effort in and try to focus on just maintaining that forward head position no matter what. And then eventually I feel like I'll just break that habit and I'll be able to keep that nice strong body position the whole way through. Okay, so those videos obviously were from the start of the year, but there's still things that I definitely feel like I need to improve on, and it was pretty obvious in those clips. So now we skip forward to Queensland titles at Mackay later on in the year. This track was brutal. It was super rough. super technical, and I did struggle on that day. So into this clip here, we've got sort of exit that turn into a pretty solid amount of braking bumps into a fairly rough corner. Get through there solid, but I can see like just heaps of room for improvement basically. And again, that's what I'm looking for, is just things that I can improve leading into next year. So I slow it down and really watch my body positioning and my hips coming into the turn here. So my knees aren't in too bad of a spot on these braking bumps, sort of midway of the bike, it's not too bad. But I don't have a real big hinge in my hips, so I'm pretty rounded at my hips and my lower back. And it's because my hips right now don't actually allow me to get into that position. I get a pinch through my hip. I've worked on my hips a lot, as you guys have seen throughout. And I do have worked on flexibility and stuff, but it's still a major weakness of mine, something I need to improve a lot. It's just simply get my body to a stage where I can perform in that flat position there. Because if I can't, the issue there is, as you can see the bike moving up and down over these bumps. For one, it doesn't get the rear wheel to sit on the ground as much. If I hinged more, it would put more weight towards that back tire, because I'd be able to get more of a flat body position. So my rear end would be over the back of the bike and my head would be over the front. So I've got control over that entire bike. And also, if it does give me a big kick in the ass with that body position there, all it's going to do is throw all my body weight forwards. If my body weight foot comes forward, then the rear end can sort of skip around and do whatever it likes to do. Luckily here, it sort of doesn't really give me too much of a kick, but if I went faster, it would. Okay, so I really need to improve that if I want to improve my speed. Then once we get into the corner, you can see my body is facing out towards the left-hand side there. And then what that shows me is I'm trying to protect that left hip. I'm trying to get it out of pinching point. Biggest thing I want to do there is just square up. So if I attack this too much harder and really push into that original hook, I feel like my body facing the direction it is, if I really attack it and really come in there hard, I'm just going to end up out here on the berm somewhere, because that's the way my body's facing. I'm initiating my movement to the left, not to the right. So if I could simply just square my body up, I like to say stacked, like be stacked. So everything's stacked up on top of each other, it's nice and square. If I just be there, it's like I'm just facing the direction of the corner. It's like I'm initiating the movement to go that way. And then like it continues on. So as I transition into the seat there, I do square myself up a bit, fairly stacked, heads up over the front. But what I want to try to do there is rotate my hips so that I get a little bit straighter back, get that head forward, so I've got a bit more leverage, leg up nice and tall. And again, it's just that stronger looking position through here. I see a lot of the top guys, they just look super strong. It's like they're ready to attack. Whereas I feel like when I watch myself and I really look at this position, it looks a little bit more like I'm sort of just slouched into a couch. I'm just sort of sitting down into the bike, rather than sitting up on top of it, ready to attack it. So for me, it's consciously thinking of that when I'm riding. So I think a lot of like probably slower paced motos and stuff like that, and sections where I'm really trying to make sure like, okay, I'm focusing, I've got my back straight, my legs up tall, my head's forward. And then complementing that with off-bike stuff, so getting my flexibility and mobility through my back and legs and everything. And then eventually I feel like it'll just naturally happen. It's like a habit. I'll come around that corner, I'll be up nice and tall, head forward, and able to attack out of the corner. So something else I found super cool when looking at the videos and going over some stuff was my body position change from the KTM to the Honda. I actually had a few people comment on it already from the little bit of footage we've had on the Honda, that I'm way more over the front, I'm way more attacky. And I felt that, but to see it actually translate into the video was pretty cool. So again, we got a clip here from PBI Ride Farm. So me hitting this pretty technical rut on the KTM, and just my natural sitting position, as you can see there, is I've got that pretty decent gap between my crossbar and my head. So it's probably somewhere around there. Like, I feel like realistically I want that chin bar up over the top of the bar pad, and it sort of maintains that bit of a gap just about the whole way around. I get this bit of a kick here and my head comes right back and then back into the seat there. And then because my head and my body weight's so far back, you can see it's like I'm rounded, I'm pulling on the bars, and I've got no weight on that front tire here. Okay, it's like it's just super light. And again, that means that I can't follow the rut the way I want to. Even that last bit of a hook there, still heads back, and I start pulling towards the straight and get my head up over the front. Whereas when I compare it to the Honda, and this is from Willowbank on Luke's bike, the dirt's very similar. It wasn't quite as technical as PBI, but you can just see my head position is way more up over the front. Okay, something about this bike just really, for me, it gives me the confidence to get my head up over the front. I am making a conscious effort to try to work on that, obviously, but I just notice, so there, it's like I'm a lot closer with my chin bar to my bar pad, and then you just follow the whole rut through. I get a bit of a kick, my head comes back a little bit, so I've got to improve a bit of mobility to improve that. But again, it still doesn't come too far away. I'm still fairly upright, I've still got that nice strong position, and as soon as I start exiting, you see, I just have that head right up over the front, charging into the next turn. And then in the next turn, again, head's pulling up over the front. Even towards the entry there, you can see my head's fairly forward. I've got that nice strong weight over the front end. The front tire's following that rut exactly where I want to put it the whole way. So, pretty cool comparison that pretty well was just about natural. So the Honda just gives me, like I said, that comfortability to get up over the front, flow through the turns. Okay, so last thing I wanted to touch on with this was starts. So I've always been a really good starter. I feel like my jump out of the gate, my reaction is probably better than just about anyone. And I drive out pretty well, but then as you can see just here, so that's me, orange helmet. I feel like I got the whole shot there. I'm the one in front. I've got the track position, I'm towards the inside. And then if we continue the video through, can't really see what happens too much. Come out of the corner and I'm in third. So that definitely shouldn't happen. That's something I need to focus on. Is I think I get to here, I'm like, yep, I got it. And then I just want to play it safe and I'm like, okay, I'll back off. Set myself up for the corner and get ready. Whereas as you can see, Kirk, who here is behind me, even by the time we're here, he's already way in front of me. I started braking way too early. So that's Kirk there, me, and then this is Reese Budd, who also comes out in front of me. I've got the inside line. I'm in front. There's no chance that I should come out of that corner in third. But I've just been too cautious at the starts, wanting to set up and make my way through there. But I've got to find that perfect balance, I guess, of charging in, but then not overdoing it. And I think it's pretty clear that, like, I've got the ability, I can get the starts. I've just got to muscle my way around a little bit and be a bit more confident with it. Because, yeah, it's frustrating when you see a photo of yourself in front and then you come out of the corner third or fourth or whatever it is. So that's a big one I want to fix. And then, hey, we get the starts and everything else done. I know I can really improve a lot. Like I said, it's pretty cool to go over this stuff and know what to work on. And then I've got Luke, who I'm going to be working with, and he can actually watch me on the days that we're doing it. And hopefully between now and next year, we can make some big improvements. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, I've got plenty. I actually really enjoyed making this one. I like the coaching side of things, and it's like sort of like coaching myself here. Talking about breaking down technique and everything. I felt like I had to cut myself down a little bit in some of the videos. I could just talk forever. So if you did like it, let me know in the comments, because it'd be cool to make some more and maybe even get into some sand tracks and talk about some of my sand technique and stuff like that. But yeah, sweet as guys, I appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.